Call now, 866-994-4646.
Okay, folks, we've got a couple more sound bites here, all from Jay Leno, our good buddy, who seems to pretty much have everything under control there.
The great Fred Dreyer is with you, ladies and gentlemen, on the PM show. This edition, the Fred Dreyer edition. He is here, the man of Hunter, the star, the man who is helping us save the country.
Well, so far this week, anyway. Let's go to a sound bite. Let's see, is it 16?
Yeah,
Let's go to 16.
Well, the Dow skyrocketed up today. It was up 400 points. That's good. Well, see, that shows you, if we have a day where President Obama doesn't speak, Congress doesn't act, and the experts are all on vacation, these things will work themselves out.
Well, you know what that's called? That's
What?
a primer for the November election.
It is true.
You know?
Yeah, Jay had a little more to say, too.
Well, the ratings agency, Standards & Poor's, has downgraded the U.S. from AAA to AA+. And it gets worse. It gets worse. Today, England, Italy, and Greece defriended us on Facebook. Yeah.
Now we're taking criticism from Europe. It's getting pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
Standard & Poor's has warned there's a 1 in 3 chance we could be downgraded again in the next 3 years. We could go from AA+ to FU. That's where we could go.
That's good. That's good.
And Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner announced he is not going to resign. He had suggested he might be leaving and getting a job in the private sector, but thanks to his economic policies, there are no jobs in the private sector, so I guess he's going to stay.
Did you get that last soundbite for us, did you? Are you working on that? You're working on it? Okay, good.
Hey,
All right, so let's talk about these candidates.
Something, Mike?
Yeah.
Look, what these sound bites, have you noticed in the sound bites over the last 3 weeks or so, 4 weeks, that they're now, there's a saturation point where now everybody now is openly criticizing not only this president, but the people in his cabinet, but the people, the unelected people who are setting regulations that are destroying jobs.
The czars you're talking
all
about?
These czars, all the people who have not been elected. You know, they've been quietly working behind the scenes while all of this has gone on in the media. They've been quietly working with lobbyists and attorneys and people like this Jan Schakowsky, these jackasses who are coming up with these mindless, harebrained ideas about how to create jobs. When the greatest opportunity would be, you know, if you want to make a good pie, get your thumb out of it.
That's true.
And so what I like now is that the conversation is really starting to come out about how bad these people are, and you really, this isn't about the differentiation between ideology. This is about good and evil. These guys are bad. I mean, they're bad. The whole lot of them. They got to get rid of them.
How do we look when we've got the Iowa caucuses are coming up now? How do we identify, and in this case the GOP candidates, as someone that are looking out for the country here? Like Reagan looked out for the country when he was there. How do we identify who of these Republican candidates may be looking out for the country and trying to come up with their own opinions here that might be different than what we have in office now?
Mm-hmm. Well, look, I mean that's exactly the question, and look. Everybody wants the freedom to worship. They all want the freedom to live their life the way they want without it being impeded upon by government, without the fear of the government saying, we're going to confiscate everything that you make. We're going to punish you because we're going to give that money to a government program that's going to issue that money to people who don't work. The people that this money goes to are below the Mendoza line. They're below the 50% that don't pay taxes. The people that make money don't need to have money given to them by the government. What they do need is the government to stay out of their way and stop taxing them so they can spend, reach their goals, put the money back into the community, hire people, grow their businesses, live their dreams, and have something, have wealth that they can pass on to their children. I mean, I've got 2 grandchildren, and I am busting my rear end on all fronts to get enough money set aside for them. It's not going to do me any good. You know, I'm 65 years of age and, you know, getting older by the minute with this guy in the White House. And so what we need to do is get this guy out. How do we do it? How do we get him out? And more importantly, who is going to get him out? I've been having conversations. I've got some real good neighbors where I live. We have nice conversations across the backyard fence on Sundays when we're out there working on the yards, and I'm up in the tree and I'm looking over into my neighbor's yard and I'm yelling down to him. He's smoking.
You go
a
up in the
cigar.
tree?
I climb trees on the weekend, buddy.
You do?
Yep, I do. I got a saw in one hand and a pair of clippers in another one, and I've got my Sirius radio playing the oldies and the doo-wop songs, and I'm just wailing away, and time just goes by. And a funny thing happens to me when I'm up in that tree.
What?
I start to crystallize through the catharsis of working and chopping
That's
and
the
raking
key, yeah.
and weeding and making nice in the backyard, I had a lizard. I swear to you, this is true. This is very difficult to do. It's very difficult to touch a squirrel on the forehead.
Oh, it's totally difficult.
It's really tough to touch a lizard on the forehead.
Oh, yeah.
I touched a lizard on the forehead.
How'd you do that?
He was just there, and he was in the shade, and it was just one of those things, and I just reached over, and I just touched him, and he took off, but I touched him on the forehead. And when you start to come into harmony with nature, especially in your own backyard, you start to coalesce and get these ideas, and you start to put things into order. Good things come to you while you're working. While you're doing God's work, while you're doing the right things, working in the soil. And as many people do, whether they're working in an office, they're working in the soil. Whether they're working literally in the soil, they're still working. And so
everybody wants to work. Here's the thing: you can give people money, and if they don't work or they don't earn it, it's just nothing. It's like the gift, and that's what we seem to be doing: is giving money to people instead of getting them out there to work. They're able-bodied if they are. I mean, obviously, some people have the disadvantages and need help, but for the most part, most people are able-bodied and can get and hold a shovel and a rake or whatever and do some work.
You don't have to talk people into understanding the value of work. People want to work in this country. This is the greatest country in the world to be able to work and to make your way. Where else can you get somebody, unless a welfare recipient hits the lottery, and try to collect in California, by the way. You can't make any money in this country if you're not willing to work. And the government is telling people you can't work. But the one thing that's necessary for us to do, and we're gonna get into this when we come back, is we've got to go over and talk about these candidates and talk about what is necessary, what is going to have to happen in order for the candidates to reach the people. And issues are not enough to do it. Issues aren't the point. You got to talk past issues. You got to talk to people's hearts and minds, and you've got to be able to understand one thing. If you don't win people over, if you're not leading, you're losing.